right. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fit 40 podcast, where we simplify exercise and nutrition so that busy parents can feel their absolute best. Today, we have a guest with us. We have Zack Busch in the house. He is a precision nutrition level 1 coach, as well as a CrossFit level 1 coach. So I cannot wait to pick his brain, especially being that we both share the precision nutrition cert, and there is so much valuable stuff in there that is super applicable, whether you are a mom or a dad, because I know Zack works mostly with dads to master their nutrition, build better habits, and get real results. So we're going to have one hell of a discussion. So Zack, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm super excited for this. I have my own little podcast, so it's fun being on the other side, talking about similar stuff with somebody else who has similar experiences and similar certifications and all that. So I'm definitely looking forward to having the conversation.
Absolutely. Now, before we hop in, if somebody's like, okay, I want to hear this guy afterwards and they want to hop over to your podcast, what is the name of that?
It's called The Wealthy Wellbeing. It's on Spotify. It's on YouTube. Those are the two main spots I have it right now. Yeah.
Awesome. So once you guys have made it to the end of this, just go down into the show notes or description. It'll be there. Just click away so you don't have to go searching. So now, Zack, let's dive in a little bit, because I did a little bit of research on your page and I love a lot of the topics that you bring up. And one of the big ones was like how you're not a big fan of meal plans, as well as me. Like, I'm not a big fan of meal plans. And I know, being that you work with mostly dads, I'm assuming you've gotten that question, like, just tell me what to eat, man.
100%. That's like the number one question is, I eat out a lot. I don't know what to eat. I hate cooking. Like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I think there's some value in that, but for the most part, I don't recommend doing that, nor do I want to, because everybody likes different things and it would be super difficult to do. And I just don't think that drives anybody towards what they actually need.
Absolutely. Now, when it comes to like meal plans in particular, are there any that you've seen somebody come to you and you're just like, oh boy, like we're gonna deconstruct this a little bit?
Yeah. A lot of times people come and most of the things I say is like, just eat more protein, eat more chicken, eat more ground turkey. Those are the lean proteins that you want. And they start doing that. I was just having a conversation with a client yesterday too about it. You know, he was like, I have a salad. I put a bunch of chicken on it because you told me to get my protein, but I also put like, what else did you put on it? I put a ton of dressing on it. It's like, okay, like let's load. So we're loading it up with a bunch of fat, we're a bunch of calories. And so maybe that's why we're not seeing the results that we were expecting to see, or that we've been seeing, is you're doing the right things, but you're not sure exactly what you're doing wrong, why you're doing it. So there's definitely things that I see people eating that's like, oh boy, or we can make some tweaks here, and you have the right idea, but there are things that we need to improve. But yeah, I've seen the meal plans where it's like really strict, and sometimes people don't like the things that are on there, and then you're like, oh, I got to substitute it out, or just the generic plans that kind of somebody just throws at them, and it's like, I don't like half of the things on here. I think that's the bigger issue as well.
Yeah, I personally love the like copy and paste bodybuilding diet. It's like, well, clearly you just got this from a coach you spent hundreds of dollars on, and you just copied and pasted it and called yourself a coach.
Yeah, and I see, I'm in dad Facebook groups, and I see everybody that was like, hey, I'm looking to eat a little bit better. Everybody, for whatever reason, the carnivore diet is like the big thing. And I don't like diets in general because it just doesn't provide long-term sustainable change on what you're eating. But that seems to be the big thing, at least in all the dads groups. I don't know why, but I love eating meat too, but I think it needs to be the right things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know carnivore is like a hot topic nowadays, because it's one of those things that caught fire. It's been on podcasts, and it's like, I'd love to deconstruct that a little bit, being that we're both into the more evidence-based side of things and like what actually works and gets people healthy. And if we're being honest, like, even though people do feel better in the beginning on it, it's not a healthy diet.
Yeah, and I've even seen people where they get on it and it's like almost like the keto diet, where your body starts changing the chemicals in it and all that, like, and you feel like not great the first few weeks. They like almost feel like flu or cold, and I've seen people have those symptoms as well because your body's adjusting to the low carbs and the high fat and the high protein. And yeah, I think it's just not sustainable. Like, you can lose the weight quick, but it's because ultimately it's a deficit. And the carnivore diet, keto diet, paleo, whatever you're doing, Whole30, those are diets. And the ultimate thing that's the same between all of those is just that caloric deficit. You're just eating less than you usually are. And we can do that by eating good food and eating just 4 solid meals a day. And I think that's the thing that is the biggest gap, is the diets are really just caloric deficits. And we can do that by just having good meals planned, ready to go, and have a plan to give us and to work through that and just do it consistently.
Yeah, but that's not sexy enough. You can't brag about that at work. Just can't.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you read the article. Like I've read an article where it was like, how do you sell, like, how do I promote my services that's going to give you long-term results, right? You work with me 6 months, a year. It's going to be a slow grind, a slow loss of fat, a slow results, but you're going to be able to sustain that for another 20 years. So how do I go up against somebody who's like, oh, I'll get you to lose 30 pounds in 6 weeks? And that's the challenge is with social media and the internet, people want to see everything happen immediately, where the scale and even the measurements aren't always the thing that should be what we're looking for. It should be, am I able to build a habit and build consistency over the long term? But like you said, it's super boring. Nobody wants to say, hey, I was successful. I ate my protein 6 days out of the 7 days I was supposed to this week. Like, look at me, I'm doing great. But this, like, they're like, okay, how much weight have you lost? Look, I haven't lost anything yet. Like that's you're right. It's so hard because people just want to lose weight. They want to look at the scale and go, cool, it's working.
Exactly. Because unfortunately, it has become a thing where the scale dictates, oh, are you successful or not? Like I know I had a conversation with a client like a day or two ago where they're like, yeah, my one relative that's coming for Easter had a really successful diet where keto, lost 50 pounds. And I'm like, pause. Why is losing 50 pounds really fast successful? And we really got to reevaluate what success is. Like anybody can starve themselves for X amount of time and then gain it all right back. That's not success. Being able to lose it and never have to put it on again, that sounds a little bit more successful.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's easy to get caught up, and I think it should be a red flag when it's like, hey, we're gonna promise X amount of weight and X amount of time. I think that's the wrong approach, and we obviously both agree on that way to go about it. And I try to set the expectation at the beginning of, hey, this is going to be a slow process. Like, don't expect to drop a bunch of weight. Like, our target is typically 1 pound a week. That if we're doing that, great. If we have more than that, great. If we're less than that, fine. But that's the typical thing that I see. But really just setting it up as, but we shouldn't care about the scale. I want you to focus on, am I doing the things day in, day out? Like that is the win there. Every time I go in and you get a weigh in and we have a meeting and it's like, I haven't lost any weight. Okay. How did you do on the habits that we were supposed to be doing? And if it's like, oh, I was doing it every day, it was no problem, it was easy. Perfect. That's what I want. How are you feeling? How are you looking? Like a lot of that stuff, the things that are hard to, like, you can't measure them like a scale. I think that's why people like the scale. But oh, I'm feeling better and I can move a lot easier and I'm not getting tired going up the stairs like I was before. Those are the things that I try to steer people towards, remembering that that's really what we're going for, is the feeling better as opposed to what's the number on the scale, because you can't always change the scale, right? I mean, you've seen it, like on a day-to-day basis, it's like I'm up that 3 pounds, I'm down 4, and it's all just, it's not in your full control. What is in your control is what you're doing day in and day.
100%. And I like how you illuminated the fact that like it's just not like sexy enough or it's not like tangible enough to be like, okay, I see this number change. So when you have a client that's like, okay, I've got X, Y, and Z going really, really good, but scale won't budge. Like, how do you like to reframe that? Or what do you like to keep track of that could be something that's like tangible and be like, okay, this is improving?
Yeah, I try to do 3 different variables. The scale is the first one, right? That's the easy, tangible one. The other one is pictures, and weekly pictures, monthly pictures. It doesn't have to be super often, but the pictures are great because you might not see it in the scale. Maybe you're gaining muscle and losing fat, so the scale's not changing, but your body composition is. So pictures, say 1,000 words. I like the pictures. And then finally the measurements, right? Waist, hips, arm, legs. Like you might not see it in the pictures, you might not see it in the scale, but maybe you're losing inches or you're gaining inches, but you can like feel the difference, right? It's not fat anymore, it's more muscle. So those are the 3 things that I try to have clients work through, because one of those will give you the idea of where things are going. And the scale is just the go-to easy one that people care about, but the other 2, typically something is happening. I can point to that and go, look, scale's not changing, but look at your pictures from a month ago. Like, look how much different things look. And a lot of times, one of those 3 will get the client being like, okay, I'm back on board with it. Like, this makes sense. Cool. I'm good.
Yeah. And I love that because I know on this show we talk about it all the time. You need multiple data points. You can't just rely on one because your body is doing so many different things at once. And how you mentioned like the inches too. Like we've all heard, oh, my clothes fit better, but the scale's not changing. It's like, so what do we think is happening?
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking to somebody yesterday where he didn't take measurements throughout the entire process, and he was like, it would be so cool to know how many inches I had lost through this process. And he showed me a chart of his scale. I think it was like over a year, but he weighed himself every day for a year. And when you looked at it like 1 week, it was all over, like it was all over the place. But then you scale out to a month and it was all over the place, but it was kind of trending down in the right direction. And then we looked at it as a year, you can see all the ups and downs, but it starts up here and then goes all the way back down to like where he's at. He lost like 50 pounds in a year. So it's one of those things where the scale tells a story, but day to day, it's so different.
Yep. And that scale for anybody who's like, wow, 50 pounds in a year would be freaking awesome. Like, what did that look like? Was it just a straight line or was it like peaks and valleys?
Oh, tons of peaks and valleys on the grand scheme of thing. Because when you like, if you were to connect the line, it's like do it in Excel and get a median of it, it would be a nice steady downward slope. And so it's like that thing. When you look at it, you need to zoom out, and sometimes it takes time to look at that. But that steady downslope over the long term is what you're looking for, and it's a sustainable thing for him now. Like all of the stuff that he's done, changed. It's just who he is, and I think that's the biggest thing is changing the mindset around it of I'm not a person who diets, like I'm just a person who eats better. And that's all it is just eating a little bit better, doing a little bit more work day in and day out. And just those slight changes make the biggest difference.
Definitely. And I think that's probably like one of the best things that came with like learning the precision nutrition methods is like actually how to get people to change their behavior and like do it over a long period of time. Because right now we're stuck in a season of life of like quick fixes where it's like, okay, just do this one thing, just starve yourself, just do this. But when it comes to the amount of habits that are required to change your life, how many or like rough estimate would you say most people end up working on as far as like number of habits?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I first started, I wanted people to see results so bad, and I'm a very driven person. So when I like somebody tells me I have a coach and they give me 2 or 3 things to do, I'm like, oh, I'm going to nail all of these. So I'm a very driven person. And when I started coaching, I wanted everybody to be like me. So I was giving people 2 or 3 habits at a time without really seeing is that something they're ready, willing, and able to do. And I wasn't setting them up for success. So after doing that for a little while and learning, okay, they're not seeing results. Why are they not seeing results? I've really scaled it back to really just focusing on one thing, especially in the beginning, right? If they're at that level 0 where they don't really have any good habits or they're really at a baseline if they don't know a ton about nutrition, what to eat, and all of that, just one habit. And I want it to be so easy that it's almost impossible for them to fail. And I was always so hesitant to do that because I was like, oh, what if they don't see any changes from this? But I've learned that if they focus on that one thing and it's something that they can do consistently, over 2 weeks, they make a big jump, both mentally because, hey, I'm crushing this. But a lot of times they do see some results, whether it's on the scale or in the picture, in the measurements, they usually see it. So I start with one habit, and that's been working really well, just keeping it simple for them. It's setting them up for success. And then as I start working through it, maybe 3 months in, 6 months in, we can do 2 at a time and start to increase it because they've gotten better at what knowing what to do and what not to do and just being consistent with it and getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. You're pushing your boundaries a little bit and going out of the comfort zone of not just ordering the food or not working out. So I think for me, it's the one habit, at least in the beginning, if it's something you're just getting started.
Yeah, I love that because a lot of people don't realize that one habit doesn't just mean one thing. There's a lot of factors that need to change to make that one habit happen. Like take protein, for example. You go from eating what you normally do to now, okay, I'm going to focus on eating enough protein. Now you have to shop different. Now you have to cook differently. Now you have to prep differently. Now you have to adjust the amount of food that you're eating on your plate. And it's like, oh, didn't realize that all came with it.
You're exactly right. That one thing, it's like, oh, that seems super easy. Great. Let's knock it out of the park then. And then if it's really that too easy, we'll increase it. But like you said, there's 6 different things that sometimes come with it. So now if I'm saying, hey, we need to eat more protein and we need to go to the gym, now for the protein, like you said, you need to shop, you need to plan, you need to cook, you need to do all this, but also you're exercising. So it's like, all right, when am I going? where am I going? What am I doing? So now rather than 2 things, you've got 10 things, and it gets super overwhelming. And then you go, ah, screw it, I'm done. So yeah, I love that point where it's like, hey, it's one thing, but really a lot of times it's like 5 or 6 additional things just to get that one thing done.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people do take this stuff for granted, like moderation and doing things slowly, and they're like, "Oh, that's too easy." Like, come on, really? And I saw another post of yours that I really liked, where it's that famous saying that we've all heard: "I know what to do. I just got to make myself do it." Where it's like, yeah, obviously everybody knows what to do. It's not that hard, or it's not that complicated, but it is hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, simple but not easy, and that's the thing, and that's a lot of things, but really this, and that's why getting a coach is super helpful because when you get lost or you don't know what to do or you don't know which of the things to do, right? Everybody knows what to do. I should sleep enough. I should eat enough protein. I should eat vegetables. I should limit the amount I'm eating out, but I don't know which thing is gonna push me in the right direction or which thing to start with, or maybe I know what to start with, but like, how do I really get started on that? And that's where a coach can help guide you. And that's my goal. I've been through it. I've gained the weight. I've lost the weight. I've built the habits. And while that's easy for me, I've been doing it for a long, long time. So how can I help you make it easy for you? Like that's my ultimate.
Exactly. And I like how you brought that up, the fact that like a coach helps so much, because obviously we're a little bit biased. We're two coaches here. But let's be honest, there's a reason that I don't know if you have this policy or not, but there's a reason I refuse to work with friends and family, because they just don't
Mhm.
listen. Like you could tell them everything and they just don't do it, because they don't know you as the coach. They know you as like Zach, or they know me as Brian. It's not the same deal. You kind of need that unbiased third party that you kind of fear a little bit of letting down, because they're not familiar. You can't justify your behavior. You can't make excuses to them.
100%. And I did start with friends and family and my, my girlfriend at the time, my wife now. Like I started all of that when I first got going. And yeah, it's like, is it me? Like they're just not listening to me. And then I realized that no, it's just friends, family. Because they don't look at you as a coach. They look at you as your friend or your brother or whatever that is. And yeah, a lot of times it doesn't work out great. It was a good experience, but having that perspective and that change, it's very hard for them to do it. And then working like for free too, I started doing stuff for free. I still do free calls, and that's just because I want to help people too. A lot of the free calls, they're great and people say they're going to do it, but unless they're invested in it, a lot of time money talks. So that's the easiest thing to get them invested in, right? Like, hey, I'm spending a certain amount of money, I should actually do these things. But it really shows a level of commitment too. Like mentally they're there. If they're willing to pay their hard-earned money for this, then they're ready to start doing it. And that's what I found is helpful when it comes to friends, family, and then doing it for free too. All right, like let's make this a real thing. That's going to be the change. And when people start seeing results, they're more bought in and they want all of their friends to do it too, which is super nice.
Exactly. And along with that, because I definitely don't want to skip over this topic with the friends and family, another thing that people don't realize is that when you hire a coach, like a good one, you have deeper conversations than just eat this, because there's so
Yeah.
many like emotions that surround food that you might not be comfortable telling your buddy, hey, by the way, I binge eat because I am avoiding intimacy with my significant other. And you're like, huh?
Yeah.
Huh? I've heard
Yeah.
some weird,
Yeah.
some
You're
crazy stuff
partially
over the
like
years.
a Yeah, you're partially like a therapist. I've definitely sat in sessions where I was like, well, I was not expecting to hear this, or I was not expecting where this conversation to go this way, but hey, like that's part of that's part of it, right? There's a ton of times, like you said, where the emotion is connected to the eating. I made a post the other day about like the different foods, and it's like, hey, I'm like pizza, I'm probably drunk, or like chips is like I'm bored, and eating is a lot of emotion and it's just mindless sometimes, and so it's just learning to connect those two. But yeah, you're getting deep into it with all of the clients. I have the same thing. So when you're doing it with friends and doing it with family, that I'm fine with it. It certainly doesn't leave the room or the call, but a lot of other people might be like, this is a little weird for me, I don't want to talk about this. And like that's cool, but it's going to be harder for me to help you if we're not fully transparent with kind of how we're feeling and how things are going.
Exactly, exactly. It just comes down to that level of comfortability and buy-in, like you were just mentioning, because it is weird how money does play a bit of a role in it, even though everybody's like, just tell me what to do, I will nail it. And then nothing ever happens until they actually sign up.
Yeah, I've heard of different ways. Like if somebody is looking to get started in nutrition coaching and they feel bad charging people. I found that most people are like, yeah, like I want to pay you for your time. But if you're hesitant to start charging, I heard somebody do it where they charged them, but like it was just a, hey, make a donation to this cause in that I'm like passionate about or that I like, and that way you're paying me, but you're not paying me things. So it feels a little bit better. So I like that. I've never personally done it that way, but I think if you're getting started, that's a great way to do it.
Yeah. And actually, as you're saying that, I just remembered I was on a talk yesterday with one of my clients who said they found an app or a service called Step Bet, where it's like basically you put money down to say, I'm going to hit my step goal. And if you fall off, your money goes into the pot and everybody who sticks with it gets a percentage. And I'm like, talk about a great idea.
I love that. That's an amazing idea. You could do that for a lot of different things
Oh
too.
yeah,
That's really cool.
absolutely. It's pretty much any goal, really. Like if anybody's listening right now and they have like some work colleagues that would be down, throw some money in a pot and then divvy it up with whoever the heck sticks to it.
Yeah, the challenge portion of it and the competitiveness, especially. I work a lot with guys and dads, so I find that they're really competitive. I know I certainly am. So challenges are a great way. I don't know if you run any challenges or
Oh
anything
yeah,
like that. Like that's such a fun way to get people started and going because it's a community group thing, which is always super helpful. But there is a little competitive edge when you put points towards things and people see like, oh, I don't want to let Steve beat me in this challenge this week. So I love doing the challenges and seeing what that brings out because a lot of times that's enough motivation that people are diving full on into it.
absolutely. And I love the idea of like possibly just throwing in whatever's enough for you because everyone has a different level of sting that's effective. Where it's like for somebody, they throw $10 and it's like, I could do without that. But then they throw 100 and they're like, all right, I'm in. I'm doing this thing. I'm not giving up that money.
Yeah, for sure. The investing in yourself, it's hard to do sometimes. I think sometimes you get the scarcity mindset. I know I have it, but every time that I've paid for something that I think will get me where I want to go, I'll put the work in and usually achieve it because I'm more committed to it monetarily and I love saving and all that. So when I have to spend money, I'm going to do it. And the example that I have is personally is I had a friend who's a physical therapist. I was dealing with some low back issues. She helped me for free. She's like, no, I don't want to charge you, whatever. I was like, please just let me pay you. She's like, no. I was like, okay. I fell off doing that rehab way quicker than I should have. But then I went and paid for a different physical therapist, not because she was bad, but just because there were things lined up. But I kept with that program because it wasn't cheap and I got the results that, hey, I don't have any low back pain anymore. So paying for it makes me do it. So I have to remember that like people want to pay, but it's also good for them to pay because then they're
Absolutely. I mean, it's just one of those human laws or it's like you for some reason something clicks in your head and you're just like, yes, I'm doing this thing.
Yeah, I read a study or listened to it. I don't remember if it was on a podcast, but they did a study where they had the same program and it was like a $50 program, a $500 program, and a $5,000 program. They were charged different things, but it was the same exact thing. And the people who were paying $5,000 for this program did like 90% better than the people who paid $50 for it. Same program, same exact thing, but the people were just more committed.
Yeah, that is wild. I cannot believe that. But or actually I can believe that. 100% can. Um yeah, and when it comes to these other things that we need to work on, because I definitely don't want to get too caught up in the whole like got to invest in yourself conversation because it absolutely is super important. But what other factors do you think separate like your really successful clients when it comes to putting in the work? What are some things that they do or they say that you've noticed it's like this is what separates them?
They're not upset about the scale. They want to see the scale improve. I know we just talked a ton about this, but they're more caught up in the process of the consistency. All right, what do I need to do every day? How is it going? And then just being open about it. Like, hey, last week wasn't great for me. I struggled with this. I went off the rails on a couple of days of meals. So the more open they are about it, the easier it is for me to address it and help them through it. And that makes it so much easier. Like, just communicate with me more. I would rather you over communicate. There is no such thing as sending me too many messages, right? I set the expectation that, hey, I might not answer your message right away, but you'll hear something within for sure 24 hours. But the more open they are and the more they have focus on the day in and day out thing, that's the client that's going to be successful. They're not worried about the end result. They're not worried about the weight. They know that's their goal, but their focus is, am I doing the thing every day that I need to do? And am I being open with when things don't go well, why aren't they going well? So those are the two main things that I see with successful
Yeah,
clients.
and I'll add one thing in there because I don't know if anybody listening caught this. I really think that a lot of the credit too goes to you as a coach opening that space and allowing them to be honest, to be in constant communication. Because I think that's one thing that's lacking in our space right now, where it is like coaches are all of a sudden automating everything and impossible to get a hold of. And it's like the best coaches that get the best results are pretty much on call almost every single day. Not to hop on a call at any given time, but to just message you back and be like, "I hear you. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea." Just to know that somebody's there in your corner that genuinely gives a shit.
Yeah, it's super hard to find that. And I find it too when I'm in constant communication with them, they have it in the back of their head like, oh, I got to do this. I got to go prepare my meals. I got to plan my meals. Like I had a client the other day saying, he was like, hey, like I know that text is coming on Sunday. So I have all my stuff ready to go. So that way, when I know you're going to text me on Saturday or Sunday asking me if I have my food for the meal plan or meal prep that I'm going to do today for the one dinner that is my goal for the week, that that keeps me accountable, just knowing it's coming. So yeah, like I want to communicate. I want to get to know you, not just as a client, but as a person. And that helps kind of give me the whole picture on who you are, what you're trying to achieve. And I love to be friends, or friendly, I should say. Like I don't want to be calling and texting and hanging out all the time, but I want to feel like we are friends. And I think that's the most important part, is just having a good connection.
Yeah, I almost like from. Did you play any sports as a kid?
Yeah, I played soccer and I swam.
Okay. I almost feel a little bit like that cool assistant coach where it's like you're not the head coach that's going to rip you a new one, but you're the guy that you go off to the side and you're like, all right, coach, what do I do? Like, what do I do for this? Because I know football was very much that way where the head coach is like barking orders and then the assistant coach is like, all right, come here. I'll tell you.
Yeah, it's kind of like good cop, bad cop, where it's like, you want to be the good cop, where it's like things are going bad. It's like, all right, let them be the bad person. I want to be the person you come to, and I'll help you through it, and we'll have fun with it. For sure. I love that
Yeah,
analogy.
yeah. I think the best coaches are the assistant coaches as far as like nutrition and
Always.
fitness are concerned. You want that person to be like on your team, not like a drill instructor.
100%.
Yep. Yep. Love that. I love touching on these topics because I think it is important for people to understand that, hey, a lot of the stuff you see on social media is actually not what you need. It's what looks good on video. It's what everybody says, oh, I wish I had that trainer to smack that food out of my hand or to like scare me into running. Like, no, you need somebody that's going to empower you and let you do the things you know you should be doing, but allow you the space to learn.
Hmm. Yeah, and with the social media thing, there's so much information out there that it is kind of confusing, and nobody wants to watch the boring day in day out thing. Like my routine is pretty much the same thing. I go to the gym. I meal prepping is kind of boring. No one wants to see that, and then eating good meals isn't that fun. So the social media stuff is you're seeing the extreme stuff or the crazy stuff that most of the time isn't necessary at all. It's like it's the boring things that you're doing every day that's going to get you there.
Yeah. It's kind of like how John Goodman, one of the guys who is the creator of Online Trainer Academy, he has a great saying. He's like, same shit, different shirt. Like the best personal trainers, the best nutrition coaches do the same shit. They're just wearing a different shirt.
And they've just been doing it longer. It's just about time. It's always the time. If you give up, then you failed. That's the only time that you failed. It's not I failed like today, or maybe a misstep, but it's not a failure until you quit. And if you do it for long enough, you're going to see the results. And that's really with any area of life, but especially with health and fitness. If you just stick with it, you're going to see the results. It just takes longer for some people sometimes, and who knows why, but that's the difference day to day, person to person. This is like, are you doing the right thing, and how long have you been doing it for?
Exactly. And it really comes down to navigating those seasons. Like, I mean, I think for some reason people believe that the whole year is going to kind of look the same and they're going to be planning for just this one wave of how it's going to look. But shit hits the fan and they're like, oh crap, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So this is where always having somebody in your corner helps. But it's like, it almost helps to frame it as like, let's not have some unrealistic expectations. Like, do you like addressing that ahead of time with clients where it's like, okay, we got this busy season coming up. Maybe you're an accountant or summer's coming up, a lot of vacations. Like, how do you field those conversations?
For sure. And it's always go back to the initial expectations from the first call, and from every call that I have from then on is, where pound per week is where we're looking at. Some weeks is 2, some weeks is less. But when it comes to the actual habits, whatever we decide we're going to work on for that week or that 2 weeks, it's okay, cool. We agree. We come up with a perfect plan. This is what we're doing these days, and I want them to leave with no questions. But it's really the last question I always ask is, okay, we've got the plan. Everything sounds good. I want you to look at your calendar, and in the next 2 weeks before we're scheduled to talk again, what are any obstacles or barriers that could come up that I can help address right now? So that way you're not in the middle of it trying to figure it out as we go. And a lot of times initially they go, oh, nothing. It's like, okay, well, let's look, open it up. Like, and it's usually it's like, oh, well, I have this play or we're going away this weekend. It's like, okay, let's game plan for that now too. Like, I want to make sure that we set that up so that way you don't have to try to message me really quick being like, oh, this came up, I forgot about it. But we can come up with a plan now and you'll be better prepared and therefore more successful when you go away. It still might not be perfect, but it's going to be better than it was if we weren't ready for it.
Yeah, love that. Because I think a lot of people just don't give themselves that grace of like, hey, it's not going to go perfect. It's not going to be this like perfect situation where all of a sudden everything just clicks. It's like it takes work. You got to keep readjusting, recalibrating the whole plan and make sure that it actually works for the given situation.
Yeah, and one day, one weekend won't kill everything. You should live your life. You should have fun. You should enjoy things. It's more how quickly can we bounce back? Can we go away on a Friday night, Saturday, and then come back Sunday and get right back to prepping, and then Monday we're back to eating well and exercising or whatever habit you're trying to work on? It's how quick can we bounce back from that? And that allows you to live your life and have fun and enjoy those times, which will keep you moving, but also keep you working towards your goals. One weekend won't kill it. You just have to remember that, hey, this weekend wasn't perfect. I might not see results on the scale, the pictures, the measurements, whatever your focus is, but I came back and I'm back working on the habits that I wanted to work on.
And that actually reminds me of a former guest. If anybody wants to listen to this after, Troy Taylor, he's the head of programming at Tonal, and he's worked with Olympians. And I asked him, I'm like, so are the Olympians like perfect? Are they like doing everything all the time to a T? And he's like, hell no. He's like, they're just way better at getting on the plan so much faster than the average human.
Yeah. I read another article too, kind of talking about that, was the level of consistency that somebody was at. So they looked at 1,000 people over a year time, and they looked at people who were 40 to 50% consistent and 60 to 70 and 80 to 90. And they said, hey, everybody lost weight. Everybody lost inches. Everybody's pictures look better. Yeah. And yeah, the 90% people lost more inches, more weight than the 40 to 50% people, but ultimately everybody lost the weight. And there really was no difference between 70 and 80 and 80 and 90, like the two tiers. There wasn't a huge difference. So it doesn't have to be perfect, and it shouldn't have to be perfect. You should just keep working and doing the best that you can in that season that you're in.
And uh, one of my favorite questions to ask people is like when they are not seeing super fast results, but they're seeing good results and they're like, I feel like this is easy. It's like, okay, so do we want to crank this up and potentially throw everything off and get quick results, but then lose it all? Or do we want this to feel so freaking easy that a month or two from now, we're like, yeah, that didn't really feel that hard, but oh shit, look at the scales down, the inches are down. Like, what sounds better?
100%. I have a client who it's been like 6 weeks, and he's got a lot of weight to lose, and he's lost 19 pounds in 6 weeks. And all we did was add him meal prepping and eating a meal that he made 3 nights a week. And what it does is it stops him eating out, and he's more mindful in the other meals. But he's like, this is really easy. Like, we didn't really change anything. I was like, that's perfect. That's what I want to hear. I want you to say that it's easy. And to your point, it's like, okay, it's easy. The scale is maybe starting to level out than it did at the beginning. Do you want to increase the number of meals that you're making? Do you want to increase the number of dinners you're having from 3 nights to 4 nights? Like, we can increase the intensity if you want, but I want to do whatever you think you can do. If you're happy with the progression and how things are going, I don't want to change anything if you don't want to change anything, but you need to be ready to make those changes if you want to increase the intensity.
Love that. And when you mention these things that are so small, so like little adjustments, I know we already talked about how one habit can be a big thing. What are some of like the biggest bang for your buck things that you've seen with your clients where it's like, wow, this one or two habits seems to really be crushing it? Like if somebody was listening right now and they're like, I just want one good thing to work on, what are a handful that you think would point them in the right direction?
Yeah, getting enough protein is one of the biggest things. If people don't eat enough protein in general, and I found that if I just make them add a little bit of protein to even just one of their meals, what that's going to do is it's going to make them feel full quicker and stay full longer, which keeps them from eating other food throughout the day, other snacks, bigger next meals, and that keeps them from gaining weight. They lose weight because they're in the caloric deficit because they're not eating enough. So like that's always a pretty easy one to add on. And there's a lot of pretty simple meals that you can do to get more protein. I mean, buying a rotisserie chicken and chopping that up, or chicken breasts, or making like turkey tacos. Like there's simple meals that take 15 or 20 minutes to just add that in there. So protein is the first one, and then just adding a little bit of exercise, and exercise in the fact that it's daily movement. Doesn't have to be go to the gym and work out and lift weights for half an hour. It could be, what are you doing now? Are you walking at all? All right, if you're not, cool, let's walk for 15 minutes around the block and just do that consistently. Or if you're already walking 15 minutes, can we increase that to 30? Or can we increase the number of days we're doing that? So just increasing the movement, increasing protein are like the two kind of low hanging fruits that I typically end up going after and start seeing some results.
Yeah. And I love that you're like increasing. It's not, oh, let's do this whole totally new thing. It's, okay, what are we doing right now? And let's do it a little bit better. And I think that's really a great starting point for a lot of people because they feel like when they jump on a diet, it's this whole 180 thing where it's like, I'm going to completely change my lifestyle. It's like, okay, so you're just starting from a blank slate. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, it's not sustainable, right? I mean, it's you want it to be, we talk about easy, and I always look at it like a dial. You have a speaker, right? You're playing music, it's on a level 1. You wouldn't just crank that up to 100. What are you going to do? You're going to blow out the speaker, and that's not going to work anymore. That's what you're going to do if you try to revamp your entire life, and that's super hard to do. So it's like, all right, how can I turn it from a 1 to a 5? And is it just increase the time or the length, and just making those slowly turns? Once 5 is easy, cool, let's go to 10 and let's go to 15 and slowly crank that up and get yourself used to it. And that's going to set you up for the long-term success.
I love that. I know I keep saying that, but I love all this stuff because it's so great hearing somebody else say it too, where it's like, I swear, people, this stuff works. It's not just me saying it. But
Yeah, it's easy to kind of get lost in your own head of like, is it really? Yeah, you hear sometimes it takes 7 times of somebody saying something for you to be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Or a new person comes in, it's like, hey, you've been saying this 6 times, but that random person came in and for whatever reason now it clicks. I've had that happen so many times where it's like you're the person's like, I've told you so many times. You know, my wife does it all the time. It's like, I've said you should do that like 7 or 8 times, and it's like, yeah, but he told me, and I don't know what it clicked now. So sorry.
yep, yep. It's interesting how that works. Kind of like full circle moment where we're like, yeah, you kind of have to find somebody who's not like a family member or a friend because when somebody else says it, it hits so much better.
Yeah. Yep. Even growing up, like my mom's like, "Oh, what advice would you give, somebody who's 10 years younger than you?" And I was like, "I give them this and study harder, apply for more scholarships." And she's like, "Oh, so everything that I told you to do for your entire life." It's like, yeah, but I won't listen to you. You're my mom. So
Exactly. Because you're too close. You can't do it. I don't know what it is. There's got to be a
yeah.
name for that, like some sort of psychological phenomenon where it's like you hear all the perfect advice. It just, if it's from the wrong person, it's never going to hit.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. If not, there'd be a good thing to turn because I hear it all the time and people 100% relate to it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I know, especially like working with like youth athletes, the parents would be like, can you tell them this? And I'm like, got
Yeah.
it.
That's so true.
Yeah, but we covered a lot. Like I wasn't expecting to go through all those points so fast, but you loaded this up with such great information. And I want everybody to be able to like marinate on it a little bit because I don't want to just overload everybody. And I'll definitely have to get you back on for a part 2, no doubt. But in the meantime, if anybody heard what you said and they're like, damn, Zach is awesome, I want to see more of his stuff, where can they find you?
Yeah, on Instagram, Zack Busch 924, and that's CK, and then Bush like the beer, not like the president, and then 924. So Instagram's a great place. I post a lot of stuff on there. I try to different reels and different images, and then I have my YouTube channel. Zach Busch. I get 924. I think is the same thing. But you can search me on there. I do nutrition talks that are on there. I do a buddy of mine. We're both dads. We're both working on our nutrition, fit fatherhood. We do podcasts on that, and then I have my podcast that we talked about on YouTube and Spotify as well. So YouTube or Instagram are probably the two best things. I'm on Facebook too, but that kind of links to Instagram, so that works too.
Perfect. Well, making me earn it this time. I'm going to be linking all of that stuff down below. Every single last link, it will all be there, guys. So if you want to go ahead, go check everything out, click on it, and it'll take you right there. But that's it for today. Thank you, Zack, for coming on. I really do appreciate you taking the time. And thank you to everybody who made it all the way through to the end. Love you guys too. But until next time, go kick some ass. I'll see you later.